Oh my gosh, Miss Agnes.
I don't know. What'd you do?
On yours?
No,
On your phone?
you haven't done anything on my phone.
I can go ahead and pull it up. So the Zoom over here if you want.
No, I'm good.
I thought you said you wanted to be the same room.
No, I'm good.
You wanted to be a singer? What did he say?
I'm
Me?
talking
No.
about Samara,
No.
and he's thinking I'm talking about Michelle.
I'm a terrible singer. I can dance. I can't
I
sing.
was talking about Samara, Leo's wife, who's next to Leo in another room.
Okay, he was trying to help. There you go. All right, we're getting ready.
Okay.
Woo!
All this to get going. Okay.
I'm hungry.
I got soup.
I know.
Okay.
And we got a little bit of food left over, so we're good.
Setting up the fade. Okay. Video timers. Audio timers. Set. This is Joe Boy with WJHM102jams.com. Recording Third Side Convo. Starting in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to Third Side Convo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Ted Johnson, Don Thomas, Leo Robinson, and Michelle Walters. And now your host, Bob Phipps.
Welcome, everyone, to the Third Side Convo, where we bring a fresh approach to tackling the issues that shape our world. Now, this isn't about politicians or party lines. It's about the issues themselves and how they affect real people like you. Now, this week, we are inspired by the National Prayer Service and its powerful reminder of both the hope for unity and the challenges of division. You know, moments like this highlight how our country is often torn between opposing perspectives, but also how we share common values at the core. I'm going to try to find those. Here at the Third Side Convo, we embrace what we call the Uber discourse method. So we steer away from extremes, we avoid partisan sound bites, and we focus on the shared humanity that unites us. Tonight, we're going to dig into questions like, how do we move from disagreements to understanding? Can faith and moral leadership foster unity without deepening division? And most importantly, how can ordinary people like us take steps toward bridging the divides in our community? So the first thing I'd kind of like to want to talk about is, at a prayer service, okay, I'm going to want to ask our friends on the right, Leo, what did they say that got everybody so upset? It seems like this was just a prayer service. Is this disunity happening?
In the name of our God. We don't know what God we're talking about first. And it's a cathedral to talk about spirituality, not politics. And she brought up the fears of the LGBTQ and the immigrants. So I feel like that we could have approached that a little different instead of putting President Trump on blast.
No politicians there, Leo.
Oh,
exactly. So we're just talking about the issues as to why the conservatives had issues with it. Ted, I know you've got some thoughts. Why do you think they did?
Well, I mean, he even said the bishop had such a nasty tone. Really?
Yeah.
You listen to the speech, there was no nasty tone. He can't take a little criticism or
the Republicans can't take it, because remember,
Exactly.
all of the Republicans did this. Yeah.
Is this such a thin-skinned blowhard? Anybody pushes back that he feels hurt? Wow, what a president.
There you go. Okay, Michelle, I know you were kind of torn on this one, but you also thought it wasn't. What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, no, I just thought that she was really sitting there and overstepping her boundaries. And, you know what I mean? She was already noted back in 2020, though, on, saying disparaging remarks about, you know what I mean, our incoming, our incoming administration, to where if you had, concern or pause, I'm not asking my ex-husband to sit there and say a speech at my birthday party. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's one of those where if you don't have a particular favor or preference for that individual, and if you don't think that you can personally hold your own personal comments out of it, then don't sign up for it. Don't do it. I mean, and go ahead and pass it on to somebody because in the spirit of all of this, we miss the message.
Okay.
All
Fair
we're doing
enough.
is talking about this compared to what the original, purpose behind this is.
Okay, Don, what do you think of what Michelle said on that?
Well, I kind of disagree with the whole what you said a little bit at a church, and that's her church in the Bible in the church. She was just saying that there should be mercy set because there is going to be a lot of stuff going on to this group of people who have been targeted by millions of people, and she was just saying that there should be mercy. Look to see to put mercy on these people because these people are about to go under a whole bunch of crap for the next 4 years. And she was just making sure, as a humanity person, what she's supposed to do as a priest is supposed to, show mercy for the people who are being persecuted and the people who are being targeted. And that's all she was saying.
Well, I know, but you know what though? Why don't you sit there and hold mercy to me? I mean, when she's sitting there and taking up that, okay, we'll sit there and show compassion and mercy for the gay, the lesbians, and the transgender. I don't fall in any of those. So where's my mercy? You know what I mean?
Well, but you're not under pressure right now. But Michelle, you're not under scrutiny.
Take care of and you know what I mean? No, we need to go back and look at the initial premise behind this prayer service. It's what God is.
We're not being
to be with them, and
we're not being targeted right now. Certain people are not being targeted. People in America, Americans are not being targeted by a special group. These people are right now are in the crosshairs of a bunch of people that's happening right now. So she was just addressing that.
I'm pro-LGBT. I'm not targeting anybody.
Female, you know what I mean? We have, much more of a propensity to have violence, and rapes and things like that are going to be towards us compared to with my male counterparts. So again, so we can't sit there and talk about those or have mercy on me or, know what I mean? Or the other victims on various other.
So Michelle, were you saying it was kind of targeted? Ted, okay.
Was very
Ted, would you say, Ted, was it targeted? Those remarks clearly were maybe pointed, thinly veiled. What would you call it?
She felt as a national faith leader, she felt there was no better time to stress the importance of thinking of those who are less fortunate and more needy than us, a very Christian thought, and that they may be under threat. And there's no better time to bring that out sitting 15 feet in front of the president and the whole staff. And there was nothing nasty about it. It's a very good thought. Go back to the 1960s. Daniel Berrigan was going up and down the country, all over the country, voraciously fighting the Vietnam War and the evils of the Vietnam War. This is a long history of faith leaders clashing with politics.
Okay, probably true. Leo. Well, no, let's hear from Leo, though. You've heard from everybody else, Leo. Why do you, give me your thoughts.
They just have a responsibility to hold political leaders accountable. If they don't hold them accountable, there's no way that they can actually express how others feel because they have a responsibility to tell what the church is feeling in general. Now, note that she's dealing with the president at the particular time. She could have come in a different way or said in a different manner, but she said taking the fear from others that are not able to speak up about the subjects like the immigration and the LGBTQ have an issue with President Trump and his rules.
Oops, stop using that. Leo, bury him again.
Hey, talking about cutting off people.
I gotcha.
Yes.
It's just the whole thing, the whole process of, I was watching this woman right now has been threatening, people threatening her lives and threatening her stuff going on because what she said, there's a whole group of people. And this is like a norm when somebody go against a certain group of people, they start getting threats. All these people that never had security before now got to get security because they're getting a whole bunch of threats because they said something against a certain group or a certain person. They get victimized by this group that whoever's threatening these people for no reason.
Got it. Ted, did you want to add something or were you just stretching?
Not true that if someone speaks against them or criticizes Donald Trump,
here we go again.
President,
I'm going to leave if this keeps up. I'm going to leave if this keeps up.
Threaten violence, target them, try to cancel them. Why do they can't just say, okay, that's a legitimate piece of criticism, let's move on? No, they get They
There's
threat.
some women in danger.
They go to threat right away.
Hey,
Why?
again, the reason I wanted to do this topic, guys, was I heard the Episcopal or the bishop the next day talk about that all she was trying to do was gather unity, develop unity. And I'm going, well, didn't quite work, okay? But
yeah, did she accomplish it? Was it achieved? Was her goal? You know what I mean?
Well, my mother always said her favorite quote, generally when I was cursing, was she'd go, "There's a better word to use for that."
Mhm.
She would say. So, okay, we're going to get to our break in a little bit, but what I'd like to do, is just recognize. I mean, listen, let me just ask a question, Leo. Do you like to help people and believe that we should help everybody we can that's needy?
I feel like we should.
Okay, good answer, Michelle. What about you?
No, not at all. Forget them.
Exactly. What I'm saying is we have the same values when it comes to helping people. We have the same values. Clearly, this was kind of said in a way that maybe somebody knew that it was going to happen like this, but I've been around you guys. You all guys have the same moral core. I don't worry about that from helping people, okay? Now, I do think that maybe a lot of people are being scared partly because of the discourse and because of the way that we talk about them. The immigrant situation. We've talked about that on many shows, and we mostly agree, don't we? When we talk about immigration, we want people that want to be here, don't we? So
Right.
that's time for another subject. But what I'd like to do now is we're going to have to hear from our sponsors. And one of the things that we're going to do also is I want y'all to consider, going on Facebook. Please subscribe, like the shows, and what we will be back. Yes, subscribe, please, and all that good stuff, all that stuff I don't understand that Joe Boy does. And we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor.
Aw, Dad, my computer's.
Lost the volume.
Steve,
Yeah.
what do you think about this option? Do you think she could have chose a better time to talk to the president, or do you think on national
Gotta
television?
talk to him in private afterwards, but I think
Yeah.
much too much drama is made about it.
I think because Trump already have a lot of drama already going on with everything.
He didn't need it. He didn't need it. It's the first week.
Right.
You don't jump on somebody. I mean,
And for that, it didn't bring unity. It actually brought more diversity, more, anger.
and on the DEI thing, by the way, I will tell you, as somebody who studied Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of '64 and have read 2 Martin Luther King books, he never wanted diversity. He wanted integration. Never mentioned diversity once. So
yeah,
I was a waste.
Welcome back. I'm tending to think that on a national level, this trying to get unity is really tough. I mean, here we had a bishop trying to get unity, and I don't think they really got this thing. What do y'all see as the best ways that we can develop unity in our country and get together on stuff? Don, let me hear from you. Well, how are we going to get together?
Well, I talked about this last night when we were at the place. I think we all in this country, we all need to do the 25% rule. Everybody put 25% in, as a person in the country, 25% from you, 25% for your city, 25% for your state, and 25% for your government. And to have a stakeholder in that, and that'll give us to start working together. Do something in your community, do something for your city, do something for your state, do something for your government.
Great idea.
And that'll kind of like bring you a whole round that you can actually look at seeing. And we can probably start coming together because you're doing other things than just doing stuff for yourself. And that's where we
need
got to
volunteers.
doing things for ourselves, and getting greedy and getting all that stuff will kind of go away a little bit. So
yeah. Well, and when we want to tear something down, you're right. It's easy to do in the realm of politics, isn't it?
Mhm.
Leo, what do you? Okay, Michelle. Go, Michelle.
I think that's something that would be it's a great idea. I mean, we see the high school students and some of the middle school students, if they want to, apply for certain college applications or get, particular type of scholar, whatever the case might be, that they have to have X number of volunteer hours. It's probably something that, that should probably place a little bit more of an emphasis, or, maybe a higher percentage a higher percentage of, acceptance or brownie points or whatever you want to call it, to where volunteering in areas to where you feel uncomfortable. I mean, certain areas that do need it, you know what I mean, particular attention. Areas, you know, we are talking about, you know what I mean, migrants and workers and conditions and the various different immigrations, you know, maybe it's in different areas
Yeah.
that we can volunteer.
Yeah, Chad, what do you think? How do we do this on a local basis? Because nationally, it seems like they're screwing up.
Well, actually, it's a national issue for everyone. We're a country of tribes. We have our own tribes. I think the basic thing to do is have people learn how to go and get information, not based on, for information, not affirmation. Find information that may even run contrary to your personal beliefs and see if assess it for accuracy. And does it pertain to you in your personal case? Too often we just run to where we want to believe, we get reinforced, and we don't shift our mind, we even get more rigid. We got to get rid of that information, affirmation versus information mindset.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, Leo, go.
I was just thinking that we all need to agree to disagree on different values. We're actually teaching the next generation to have respect, and the way that we're going about doing it with politics and religion is not really working the same.
Intelligence.
I think that we should at least acknowledge what everybody feels in a different way rather than mixing religion and politics at the same time. It's confusing our generation, confusing them a lot.
Very much.
They don't know whether or not to go to church to listen to the word or listen to politics. And that's not the way to go.
Well, and also I think one of the hard things is, I mean, when you look at the media, you know what I mean, you know, the whole scare tactics, that sells papers, it sells, you know, subscribers. It's, you know, it's one of those where they need to blow it up and magnify it into, you know what I mean, such a capacity to where it is creating fear. It is, you know, and it's hard for the average person to be able to take a step back and decipher, you know what I mean, what's really actually true and what is being, you know, exaggerated to call me to action and maybe possibly a direction that I shouldn't be called in.
Don't have any empathy for the next
the only
person's
thing you need to fear is fear
They're
itself.
more active on telling exactly what they feel and not thinking about who's listening. So that has to play a part in anything that we're doing. And in this climate right now with immigration and having differences on what like the point that Bob made earlier to me when we were talking is that you can't judge a person based off what sex they are. You can judge a person based off of what character they have. If I met you in the streets, I look at you as who you are. I wouldn't look at you as what type of sex you are. And that's been an issue for a long time. And they're trying to bring light in that rather than talk about
what color skin you have.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's Martin Luther
Well,
King.
I
101.
also what the people are saying, there was, I guess one of the orders came out about man and woman and like that. And I read something where the lady was adamant that, you know, a man and a woman is in God's in man, God is man, the image of man, whatever. And I asked a question. I said, have you ever seen God? Because, you know, we're taught God is everywhere. God could be a frog looking. We don't know, you know, and for you to put that on people to make sure that's the image of God, that a man is the image of God. We don't know that for sure because no one ever seen God. And if God's everywhere, he can be a frog. He can be a goat. We don't know that, you know.
Made by dogs.
Could be an alien.
As a group, all
Could
of
be
us.
an alien.
Can anybody remember a major politician, a major business leader, some type of well-known person getting up in front of a big audience, not necessarily national, but a big audience and saying, you know what? We screwed up.
Yeah.
And we have to explain the fact. What's the most recent example we could come to mind on that? Who admits that they're wrong? Did something happen? We went to this decision. Oh, it was the wrong way.
Has somebody actually ever done that?
I've never seen it.
Cheating and they go,
Ford did the reverse of it.
I came out. Yeah.
Well, that's right.
But that's more of a celebrity format.
No, I'm
Right.
talking about some political move or some government project or CEOs. Well, I mean, we could say the DEI stuff. You can, we whiffed. Well, let's see somebody say it. Has anybody said it that we know of?
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
You're going to sit there and you're going to lose your occupation. You're going to lose your job. Nobody wants to sit there and admit fault.
It's a sign of weakness. You were wrong and you admit it. And I think that comes from somebody sitting in the Oval Office, that mentality, personally.
Most people are focused on the past and not the present. They're looking at what's going on in the past and saying, hey, this is what we're dealing with through the whole politics for the last 2-3 years. It's been, hey, we're going to support this group of people because they're going through this. We're going to support this group of people because their minds are focused on this. But we're not looking at the big point is that they're fighting for the past, not the future. And we need to come to common ground of the future. Focus on solutions and not the problems. And the solutions aren't calling out in the middle of a cathedral what your moral values are, whether your
Well-
sex is male or female.
Better done at the end of the
it's just
ceremony.
The whole picture of the whole world is, everything goes in progress. We went from dinosaurs and people, and we're going to progress to home. Everything's a progress. So everybody's included. All the stuff is included. The people, the things like that is progress of what's happening in the world. So
Right.
if people are coming out, so everything's it's head that way. So all of it's part of the picture, the head picture, because we keep moving. We're talking about going on Mars, being on Mars and putting stuff out in the universe. We're seeing stuff out there. We got stuff out in space now that can look back or look ahead, billions of years from now. So everything's included.
They see light that happened 250 billion,
right, including
25 billion
people.
years ago. Yeah.
Right.
Look at a
We have-
star,
Well,
you're looking at millions of years ago.
The lady bishop, there was like in the Bible and Proverbs, there's not supposed to be a female running a church. So they, instead of listening to the values of what she was going through, they wanted to crucify the fact that she was leading a church at the present time, a cathedral, and saying that a woman shouldn't be the
Well,
head of a church.
well.
And I don't know the values on that, but that's what
I don't think that has anything
Add
to
up
do
too.
with
Well, you can always do that. Okay, so here we go. You can always find fault in things. And I think one of the things about trying to get together here is we hang around long enough to listen to somebody else. I mean, I've told Ted before I was wrong on stuff. I know I'll say it again. And I tell him he's wrong on stuff. I'm still waiting for a thing, but he has gotten so much better. Okay. That's what this, but that's the thing. You have to stay around long enough to get past the insults. Okay. The perceived veiled slamming of the other side. I'm sorry, but you just got to hang around long enough. And that's what we do. In fact, we had a gathering last night. Ted came to Florida. We had a great time. And, exactly. It was so good. We're trying to convince him to stay here, but I'm not so sure that's going to happen.
You might miss his
I'm
flight
with
tomorrow.
But one way to do this is if you're talking with somebody, even someone you don't maybe like or even agree with, ask the question, teach me something. Let me help you learn. Let me learn from you. That's
Yeah.
everybody to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me learn.
And it probably does work best under the Uber discourse method. I hate to toot our horn, but if
Come on, Bob.
if you start, well, you could have been. Well, you maybe are a frog now. But the point is you can't bring the names into it. You bring the names into
You're right.
it, everything falls apart.
First
I
time
feel like
here.
faith leaders have a moral obligation. And that's
Yeah.
what I think personally, that they really have to have an obligation to remain faith leaders and not get into politics.
Right.
It's going
Right.
to confuse our generations to come. Agree to disagree is real, but there's a level of people that do believe in God or the God. We don't know what God she's talking about when she's
Mhm.
dealing with sex. Because if you know the Bible, say for instance, I'm a
Right.
Bible believer.
Yeah, there's
That
different
there's-
ways.
Right, but the Bible's is not the truth,
Well,
I think also the Bible,
I
the
feel like-
Bible's written in so many books from so many different eras. I think you could find something in the Bible to justify anything from slavery to
Wow.
overall human
Murder,
Slavery
yeah.
is mentioned 7 times in the Bible.
Boy, it's amazing when you get a bunch of intelligent people together how you can lose track of things. And I think we're going to have to get ready to take our next break. And so I think we're going to have to leave the Bible for its own show. Okay, we might have to do that sometime and get a couple of experts in. And no, listen, that's what's fun. We can talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about.
Will it be the Old
Because this show
Testament
is
or the New
all about
Testament?
just
I
trying
have
to
to
come
decide.
together, and we got two people on each ideological side, and son of a gun, they're hanging around to get through these issues. So please, again, subscribe on thirdsideconvo.com. Go to Facebook and subscribe there, and we'll be right back after our break from our sponsors.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether
Where's the rest of our peanut gallery, Samar?
I've got no idea. I thought it was just, isn't it just?
Hmm.
Can you hear her? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Oh, I don't know what happened to the rest of our people.
Probably see you next. Are you going to be in next Tuesday?
Yeah, I should be in.
All right. Well, then he doesn't need me to cover the front for him.
No, I think Monday I'm not gonna be in.
Unfortunately, Monday I have a very important medical test.
Oh, I have a very
You
important
have to
meeting.
see if my aortic aneurysm is grown at all in the last
Oh,
six months.
no.
Other than that, it's not important.
Yeah, it's important. But other than that,
Goodreads.com.
the whole point of today's show
Hello
is to
again. I
Yeah.
would like to now to go around and see how we could find out. We've got to get this to younger people. We've got to figure out what's going on. What do you think the future of this is going to be as far as how do we get this dialogue where we want it? Ted, where do you see we go with this and how do we get the younger generation to actually, because you agree talking politics is necessary in a civilized society, correct?
You have to discuss the issues, and what we have to
Got
do is
to.
stop when we disagree to discredit or defame the other person. They're just like us. They want the best for their family, want the best for their career, but they have differences. So the key is, and I think there's a lot of politicians do it in Congress at the legislative level. They said, okay, how can we come together on this and get something passed that helps society or helps the culture, or helps the country? And not enough that is on the political activist side or even on the society in general, if you disagree, you're a bum or you're this, you're that. And the name calling comes up and nothing is learned. I said earlier.
It's horrible. Michelle.
I think that, you know what I mean, the younger generation is starting to get much more versed into various different political issues. And I think that it's just a matter of progression. It's a matter of information. I mean, back in the day when I was younger, I mean, I never really actually watched the news because one of those, like, I just kind of walked in and out. You know what I mean? If my parents were watching it or if that particular program happened to be on, but it wasn't something that I personally was putting on. But now these days, I mean, you're scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, X, whatever the case might be, and it's right there in your face regardless. It doesn't make a difference if you're, you know what I mean, 2 or 200. It's right there. It's, you know what I mean? It's present, in your face. And it's just a matter of trying to decipher on whether you want to, you know what I mean, further explore that or not. But the nice thing is, the access is there. And I think that it is being placed much more in front of our younger people. And they are seeming to be a lot more involved, engaged. And we are seeing, you know what I mean, a lot more of the younger generation coming up and wanting to put this little claim in this little piece of the pie.
Hey, Don, are they hearing the right stuff though, or are they hearing a lot of stuff?
They're hearing too much
They're
stuff.
hearing a lot of stuff. They're hearing a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff we have to siphon out. This is the problem with the fact checking thing going away. But by doing comedy and being out there, I got young comics and I got people in the audience and young comics that are coming up. A lot of them are aware of stuff, but a lot of them are not aware of stuff because it's false information. And I feel it's an obligation for myself. I know something that's false to let them know and that it's false. And that's how we should do it individually, or we see something that's false, let somebody, hey, no, that's not true. Or like the California fires and stuff. I constantly got to battle people saying stuff is not true. There's not one
I don't
mayor
know.
in
Have
charge of
you
the
checked
whole
out their
fires.
forestry?
There's all kind of mayors in all the cities.
You've
and
seen their
fires are burning
forestry.
all.
Okay. All right.
People think it's just one person that's in charge of the fires, That's the kind of stuff we have to stop.
Don, but of course you've got to listen to more than one person like you do, right? You listen to different news. Leo, you're around young people. Are they getting more active these days or listening to more political stuff?
The leaders have a role in setting the tone. Like, most leaders don't really realize it because I'm in the nonprofit business, and they look at us to set the tone on how things can go. We're teaching unity through education is really the main factor that works. If we could talk about these issues on a daily basis through education, then we can actually hear out the young people and find out what they think could be the change motive, and bring up subjects like on the Third Side Convo about what we're talking about, how they felt about it, and then bring it back up to the society to listen to the leaders, and the leaders set the tone for what's to come. So it's about listening to the youth and finding out what they would like to hear.
Yeah, listening is a hard thing to do, Ted. How do we get everybody to listen better?
Put them in the peanut gallery.
Turn down the volume on internet, radio, TV, and do your own thinking. Do a lot of reading on good periodicals and books. Educate yourself. And again, it's easy to go find what you want to believe. Go find something new that makes you maybe grow or adapt or even change. Do that.
Well, there's some websites I sent you that you might actually learn something from. Who knows? Who knows? I love it. Well, no, Ted, aren't you assuming
last night?
Yeah.
My what?
I was going to say, Ted, aren't you assuming that there's nothing of value on the other side, so you're closing your mind a little bit? I
wanted it, and I feel like the people
that's okay.
Are little.
I know one thing. I know one thing more that we can get back to young people get back to is when young people get out of school, or you have three options and you might need to get back to it. Either you go to school when you come out, either get a job, or you go to the military. You know, one of those three things that you're doing to get us back on track, because if they're working or doing something in our society, instead of our society may be better if we get people back on track that way. That was talking about making America great again.
And something to say in the closing. One of the benefits of our current society is there's so much information available, and people can go learn whatever. And by and large, there'll be a big enough block that will come to a collective agreement on things with certain parameters. But 60% of them will say, "Okay, this is the way we have to go." They'll have some differences, but they realize, okay, even though you're different, you and I agree on this, and we'll go from there. Just through the fact that there is so much information, eventually some of it will be threaded through. It'll be finalized and blocked into about 60% of people who pay attention, and that'll be enough to.
Well, that was pretty quick. All right, you get all that. All right. Well, we're going to have to go and close this episode of the third Side Convo. No. You know what it is? It's just a matter of getting together and talking, and we're going to get together and talk again, and we're going to come up with a topic, and we're all going to learn something. Michelle, we always give her credit for learning the most because she reads diligently. Ted always reads. And, of course, we had Leo and we had Don, and so we've got a great group, and that's what we do here at Third Side Convo. Real people, real talk. Take care, and we will see you next week at Third Side Convo. Thank you.